హలో యశ్వంత్ గారు వినపడుతుందండి? హలో 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 యశ్వంత్ గారు ఉన్నారండి? హలో సార్, గుడ్ మార్నింగ్. Hello, good morning, Madhu. Are you there? Madhu, can you please, are you able to hear my voice, Madhu? Hello, Madhu, Madhu 360. Hello. 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 Madhu, are you able to hear my voice? I'm not able to hear your voice. Can you please unmute and reply? Good morning, Madhu. Now voice వినపడుతుందమ్మా? I want to listen to your voice, then I'll be able to know whether my speaker. आप जरा बात करो ना, शेख
Sir,
जरा
I can hear
बात
you.
करो. Hello.
Hear you, sir. I can hear you.
1 minute. Now it is. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right now. Right. I set my, because every time I need to set my earphones. And that, thank you very much, Madhu. Okay. Sheikh has come, and I think we have, I think, okay, we'll see. Let me close this chat box. Okay. Okay. So you're able to hear, and क्या time हुआ देखेंगे अभी? Time कितना हुआ? 1 minute is there more. So we will discuss for the remaining 3-4 days. We have got some more classes till 11th, I suppose. Then if you have any questions, you can ask me. We have a couple of minutes more. You have any doubts or anything you want to ask? General questions, you ask general questions. What is that you are looking at when you finish this course? What is that you want to become? शेख कुछ बात करना चाहते हैं तो बात करो आप. I want you to improve your communication skills, so please feel free to talk. Don't be afraid of anybody and anything. Okay, you can talk anything under the sky. शेख कुछ बात नहीं करना चाहते हैं आप? मधु ఏమైనా మాట్లాడండి మీరు. Madhu, what are you doing actually? Are you working or are you just studying? Huzaifa Ali has come. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Sheikh Shahnaz, and then also क्या अपना इन्हें चले गया? मधु चले गया क्या? अरे बाप रे, अभी तो केवल 4-5 जन है. मधु is there, I suppose, right? Yeah, Madhu is there. हुज़ैफा अली, बोलो भाई क्या है? अब आप क्या करना चाहते हैं इसके बाद में? आप क्या है, आप अभी काम कर रहे हैं या कुछ खाली पढ़ रहे हैं? या ओके, मधु says he wants to do regular PG and open UG. अच्छा, good यार. अच्छा, very nice. Regular PG you want to do, that's a good thing also. Okay, Madhu has got. हुज़ैफा, आप कुछ बोलना चाहते हैं तो बोलो यार.
Yes, sir. I would like to continue in this field.
In journalism field, अभी क्या कुछ काम कर रहे हैं क्या आप?
Yes, sir. Right now, I and my friend own a travel agency on tours and
So
travel.
you have travel agency you have got. I see. Okay, very good. Right. Travel agency is good. Yeah, you can write travel blogs. You can write
Yes.
travel literature. Okay. If you have a travel agency, you can creatively you can produce some folders. वो दुनिया चीज दूसरों का कॉपी करने की जरूरत नहीं. आप खुद चारमीनार जाओ, अच्छा फोटोज खींचो या कुछ उसके बारे में कुछ आपके हिसाब से लिखो और वो लिटरेचर बन जाएगा. आपके ट्रैवल एजेंसी में वहां रखो, जो भी कस्टमर आएगा वो पढ़ेगा. ठीक है. सो आपको जर्नलिज्म कहाँ यूजफुल होगा मैं बोल रहा हूँ. समझ गए ना?
Yes, sir. But yes, I understood, sir. I agree with your point, sir. But I am more interested in political science and the politics of India and the way India.
Very good. That's good. Yeah.
So if I will be able, I would like to change something, not everything, but something.
Good. Oh, very good. Yeah. No one can do everything. No, somebody has to do something, and then all some things become everything. Right?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Very good, Uzaifa. I appreciate your immediate response. Right. So it's now 10:30, and I think we can start. I don't know whether I should wait for a couple of minutes more. Maybe I'll wait for another 1 minute or two. It's already 10:32. Okay. So we'll have to see. Swati has joined. Good morning, Swati.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Yeah, I'm waiting for maybe another minute or two. Then we will start our classes. So if you recollect, yesterday we had a gap because of this Batukama holiday. I didn't know that there was a holiday yesterday. Then later when I saw that timetable, उसमें कल का क्लास ही नहीं था. मैं कल का भी आई समझ के प्रिपेयर किया था. कोई बात नहीं, जो मैंने प्रिपेयर किया आज लूंगा मैं. I'll take care of that today. And then okay, right. So Batukama was there yesterday. That was the news yesterday. Do you know what is that Batukama called? Yesterday's Batukama was called. One should have general knowledge of everything. Knowledge of everything you should have. What was the kind of a Batukama that was there? Swati, you should be able to answer. Did you play Batukama yesterday, Swati, by any chance? No.
No, sir.
Ramana has. Okay, Swati, but niన్న ఏం బతుకమ్మ ఉండిందో తెలుసా అమ్మా?
No idea, sir.
ఎంగిలి బతుకమ్మ అంటారు. నిన్న ఎంగిలి బతుకమ్మ అయిందట. ఓకే. It has its own significance. Yeah, good. You must know everything about everything else, or you should know something of everything. So literally a journalist, jack of all and master of none. Okay, Ramana, good morning. How are you, Ramana? Ramana, can you respond? Is Ramana there? Ramana, good morning, Ramana. Can you know? Yeah, fine. You are fine. I am happy. But Ramana, can you talk? Is your mic not working? What is the problem? Yes, Ramana. Okay, right, Ramana, right. No problem. No mic on my system, sir. Okay, fine. That's fine. No problem, Ramana. I'm happy you're communicating in some way or the other. And that is essential for everybody. When you miss an opportunity one way, you should take up. Very good, you have responded on chat. Thank you very much for that. So a quick recap of what we discussed in the earlier class was all about structure of a newspaper. So functions of general management, post corp, we discussed about planning, organizing, staffing, direction, coordinating, reporting, budgeting, all these things we discussed in earlier class. We also discussed about various departments in a newspaper office. We discussed that editorial is one of the most important departments responsible for writing news, writing articles, writing features, writing for a magazine. We also discussed that advertising section is very important for getting advertisements, whatever be the advertisements. Aaj ka paper dekho, today there is a full page advertisement for YSR government. He gave one full page advertisement. It costs about 4 to 5 lakhs in a paper like Hindu. So easily, a lot of money comes only through advertising. Agar aapka salary, your salary and everything comes from this advertising. You should know that the more than the sale of the paper. Last class, someone was very intelligent to ask why is it so priced so low. It is because one is because of the competition, one is because they try to recover that money from the advertising. It offsets their loss, and then advertising does take care of that. Because nowadays what is happening, everybody is getting free internet, so nobody want to spend even that 4 rupees or 5 rupees. That also you can think about it. But how many people read newspaper on a cell phone? If you read, you may just read the headlines and go away. If you have a newspaper, you normally settle down to read in a more detailed way. We also discussed that there is a personal department. आजकल personal department का नया नाम है human resources. Wherever you go, it is human resources. Then you have a finance department which takes care of all the money coming in, money going out, money coming in from different directions, money, and then they are the people who will decide the fate of the newspaper. Are we having finance or no? Last but not the least is the department that we discussed in the last class was production. How do you produce this newspaper? The newspaper is produced every day. So unless the newspaper works for almost 24/7, it is very difficult for us to produce the newspaper. So today, for instance, is Thursday. If you go to Hindu newspaper office today, they will be already printing the Sunday supplement already. Either Sunday supplement will be printed today itself, and they keep it ready so that Sunday supplement is inserted on that day to reduce the pressure. So production is done in a large manner, in a very meticulously planned manner. Lots of people are involved in that. So you have employees, but totally you may have about 100 to 150 people in all the departments put together. But because technology has improved, okay, nowadays manpower has reduced. So what earlier 20 people were doing, now we only have about 8 or 10 people looking after what 10 people did earlier. So technology has completely changed the scenario. This we discussed in the last class. We also discussed about different ownerships, partnership or proprietorship, or company or cross media ownership. You also told that channels, papers, and everything else. Likewise, we also discussed about conglomerate, chain of industries. They may have like chemical, fertilizer, cement, and etc. And all. We also discussed, we went to block 2 in the last class. We discussed what exactly is news, what is the concept of news, why exactly. So, who makes the news, what is the news, what are the elements of news, most important elements. So, many factors are there which help in making news, in getting news, in creating news, and that is linked to so many factors. We discussed that also. Timeliness, proximity. Timeliness means how quickly we are able to you know get the news. Timeliness, are you able to give the news in time? It's too late, then no problem, no point in giving news actually. So as quick as possible. What happened last night at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock also comes in the morning newspaper. So timeliness, proximity, how close are we? Then about sometimes we have conflict, we discuss that also. All these are the elements of news. Conflict, whenever there is a రచ్చ చేస్తే అది న్యూస్ అవుతుంది. Whenever there is a controversy, whenever there is a conflict, whenever there is a fight between so many political parties. Huzaifa was telling that he's interested to know about political. Definitely, as Huzaifa as a reader, he may be interested to know about various things that is happening in Indian political system and in India's political scenario and international political scenario. We are interested to know what's happening in Taliban, what's happening in Afghanistan, what's happening in Pakistan, what's happening in China, what's happening in Sri Lanka, and all these places also. So this is all important. Conflict, as I said, can take place at the lowest level, local level, regional level. All these things we can still have in various levels. Okay, yeah. So okay, right. I was just trying to see the chat. All right. Let me see. So we just I thought some new messages have come. No, it's okay. And then we also discussed about development, and we always think that news and anything which is negative is news. Negative news ఎక్కువగా చూస్తారు ప్రజలు. They try to take more interest in why crime, accidents and other things also. But that doesn't mean only that news is there in newspaper. So you should also look for something which is positive, something which is developmental. Development news, you should know that developmental news is there, wherein we have anything that is developmental. So anything which is coming forward, like Harita Haram or anything we have said. We also discuss about human interest. Human interest stories matter a lot. Today also I saw one photograph where KTR is helping one girl who has done her who's doing her medicine in somewhere abroad, I think Uzbekistan or somewhere Kyrgyzstan. That poor girl didn't have any money. She's selling vegetables along with her mother because she had to discontinue that course which she joined abroad for doing her MBBS course. She discontinued in the second or third year. No, this is a human interest story. But KTR came and said, nothing doing. Don't sell vegetables with your mother. Let your mother do that. But you take care of your studies and I'm paying you the money. So the government or maybe KTR, I don't know whether it's personal pocket, अपना pocket से भर रहा है या government से, जो भी है, it's a human interest story. So she's trying her best so she could get that interest. And who is responsible for that? It is you. It is Uzaifa, Ramana, Swati, or anybody else who are responsible for conveying this in the form of a news story in a newspaper office. So you come across something like this, you can write in a newspaper as a reporter, you can convince your editor, no sir, let us publish this, and then you will be able to get that. So similarly, we have what is known as controversies also make news. This also we discussed in the last. I'm only trying to recap what we did in the last class, so that if more people join, I can then straight away start my class. Controversies also play a very important role. For everything there is a controversy. ఏమైనా మంచి చేద్దాము అంటే కాంట్రవర్సీ వస్తుంది. ఏమైనా మంచి చేద్దామంటే కాంట్రవర్సీ. చెడు చేస్తే ఎలాగో వస్తుంది కాంట్రవర్సీ. ఏదైనా మంచి చేద్దామన్నా కూడా always there is a controversy. Always there is suspicion. I want to do something for Kaleshwaram. There is always suspicion. కాళేశ్వరం మీద అంత ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఎందుకు చూపిస్తావు, నువ్వు ఎన్ని కోట్లు సంపాదించినావు. So there is a possibility of controversy always arising out of every issue or any issue, or sometimes controversies arise even when there is no issue. This is the problem of our so-called democratic countries, whether it's India or anywhere. We have this problem. Sometimes they say that when there is no news, that is news. So we create news out of no news also. So controversy is one of the best ways of creating news when there is no news. And another area which we discussed was bizarre, BIZARRE, something which is very, very strange, very, very, it's a miracle. Miracles do happen sometimes. So something which has happened, bizarre means something which is very freak. Somebody falls under the tree, after and then the train leaves, and then from the track he gets up. So the more now, one in a lakh can only survive when a train goes over the person, because he lied down. Maybe he tried his best to save himself. He lied down till the train went away, and he gets up without having a scratch on his body. So that is known as bizarre, BIZARRE. Then we also discussed, like when we were discussing the anatomy of newspaper, we also discussed about different types of news. So what are the news that we have in newspapers? It can be not only in the form of news stories, news reports. It can be in the form of editorials. It can be in the form of features. It can be in the form of profiles of some person, very great person, Abdul Kalam or Narayana Murthy or somebody. You can have. So you can also have a lot of news on political news, social news, business news, economic news, financial news. Everywhere you can have sports, crime. Okay, all these are now um, uh, news, types of news that we did it. Now let us assume that you are going as a reporter. Okay, when you are going as a reporter for a newspaper office, and And what is that I should expect from you when you have done your BA journalism? Now you join as a reporter in newspaper office. What is that I should expect from you? What should be the good qualities that you should have when you're going about or when you're reporting any news? So what is का कोई मकसद है क्या? Are you just doing your job because you're appointed as a reporter? Your newspaper has trained you. बस जो दिया काम वो जाके मैंने कर दिया और मुझे मेरा अपना तनख्वाह मिल जाएगा 30 दिन के बाद. Is it that role, is your role that what is that we expect you to become a good reporter, a famous reporter or a popular reporter, a reporter? KCR calls by name, I am Rahul, what do you say? He calls a reporter by name Rahul. Is there Hindu reporter Rahul Hemant? So he is able to call because he is able to understand the importance of a reporter. So tomorrow is quite possible Ramna or Uzaifa may go for reporting. Quite possible. Quite possible Bandi Sanjay or Modi may ask, Ramana garu Yemandi. So how is that? You will be surprised. अरे how come मैं कभी भी इसको मिला भी नहीं, मैं इसको कभी देखा भी नहीं, लेकिन ये मेरे नाम से is able to call me. That is because you are able to become a very important person on behalf of a newspaper, because you have published some news stories where you maintain certain qualities. That is very, very essential for me. Is you are able to maintain some qualities. Yes, good communication also. Yes, I do agree with you, Madhu. So it's essential that you are in a position to maintain some good qualities. But when we are writing a story, when we go and report, what is that we have in our mind is one, objectivity. Is my news story of any use to me, to my newspaper, to my editor, or to the people? So which one will you prefer? Which one is correct? To me, to my newspaper, or to the people? Which one is correct? So what will you say? Your object? Yeah, please. Anyone can reply. Yeah,
People, sir.
very good. Yeah, very good, Sheikh. And yes, Shahnaz, and Ramana. Yes, you're right. We are accountable to the people. We are responsible for the people. So whatever we write, इससे किसको मुनाफा मिल रहा है, किसको फायदा है? हाँ, अपने को फायदा क्या है? एक मशहूर हो जाते हैं, my good news story. Yes, but that is not sufficient. Objectivity is our story should be of some use, somewhere, sometime, somehow. Okay, this is very essential for us to know about how we go about objectivity. Objectivity itself is an essay type answer actually. When you do your post graduation objectivity, we have got about 16 pages material only on objectivity. So there is some aim, there is some purpose, there is some objective in your writing a news story. This is one important point, that is a good quality that a reporter should possess. And similarly, attribution. Whom do you attribute a story? That is, when you are writing a news story, you will quote somebody. Maybe reliable people, very reliable people, somewhat reliable people, or sometimes unreliable people, or sometimes anonymous people also. Quite possible when Sheikh is writing a story, he will say from where he got the story. It's quite possible Shahnaz has gone to some government office where she has come across Uzaifa Ali, and Uzaifa Ali is a responsible government officer. So she will attribute that to Uzaifa Ali, saying that Uzaifa Ali, an officer in this government department, has sent this. और Uzaifa Ali may request Shahnaz, मेरा नाम मत लो, लेकिन मैं आपको information दूंगा. Then she will say very clearly, one of the good qualities, she will protect the name of Uzaifa Ali, she will protect his identity, and she will say a senior officer who requested to remain anonymous. Under the condition of anonymity, he has said that. So Shahnaz can say that. Or she can also tell, it can be attributed. Sometimes news comes from various news agencies. कहाँ से आता है? That is very, very important for us. So attribution means to whom are you quoting? According to you and I, according to reliable sources. Okay, you can say like that, according to reliable. So next time when you read any news story, you will try to get the words that I am trying to say through this lecture. According to unconfirmed sources, you can say that also. Or according to confirmed sources, like according to General Manager, South Central Railway, Kazipet workshop is not coming this time. According to General Manager, South Central Railway, no bullet train will be there from Mumbai to Hyderabad. Okay, right. That's the thing. So according to Uttam Reddy, so Uttam Reddy has said that he wants a bullet train from Hyderabad to Vijayawada. So whom are you attributing? You are attributing to Uttam Reddy. Who is Uttam Reddy? A responsible person, a responsible politician, a senior Congress leader, a former minister, union minister ho या state minister हो, एक बड़ा बंदा हो, उसका नाम आप ले रहे हैं. So that is what we mean by attribution. So by attribution से क्या होता है? Readers will believe the news. Readers will believe the news. Who is telling? That is very essential for that. And another important thing that when you are writing a story, newspaper story, it should be fair. So you should not try to, because you like something, some part of the news you like personally, you should not focus that more. Whether you like it or don't like it, you give both sides of the story. अच्छा और बुरा दोनों भी दीजिए. कल एक मैं आर्टिकल पढ़ा था, बिल्कुल मोदी के बारे में सारा 98% चमचागिरी था. मैं तो बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग लेटर भी लिख के फेंक दिया था कल. कल एक परांज पे, मकरंद परांज पे, तो वो प्रोफेसर ऑफ इंग्लिश है, जेएनयू का था, एंड ही हैज रिटन कंप्लीटली 98% trumpeting Modi. I said nothing wrong in it, but you should always tell about the other side of the story also. But anyway, it is he, and the paper said the views are personal, but that's only an article. But in a newspaper story, always remember, you should try to cover both sides of the story. Let us tell you one. I'll tell you one simple example, then you will understand. Suppose Ramana is going and covering one train accident. Okay, some train accident has taken place. Ramana has gone there immediately, and he has spoken to some passengers there. And according to those people, he came to know that about 15 people died. So if Ramana has said 15 people died, in his story he should also verify whether he will now check up with the railway officials. ఏం సార్, వాట్ అబౌట్ మీరేమంటారు, 15 మంది చచ్చిపోయారు అంటున్నారు, మీరేమంటారు? లేదంటే మాకైతే 5 బాడీలే దొరికాయి. We will go by that news. That is, only 5 bodies are recovered. We could get 5 bodies. So according to us, only 5 people died. If he is saying 15, that we don't know. So in your story, you will write, according to eyewitnesses, 15 people died. However, the railway official has said that only 5 people have died. So what have you done now? आपको किससे भी मतलब नहीं, आपको इसके बड़ा दिखाने से, some people want to they do, ज्यादा दिखाने से गवर्नमेंट का फेल्यूर जाता, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. You are only Ramana, a very good reporter. You are now, what you did is fairness. You have reported both sides of the. Let the reader decide what he wants to believe. By and large, so you will have to decide on that. Many times, this is something which you have to see in terms of fairness. And the same thing, fairness and balance go hand in hand. Sometimes balance and fairness. So you are trying to balance the things. So if somebody, suppose Rahul Gandhi ने एक गाली दिया, तो इसका जवाब में अगर मोदी भी बोला कुछ. Yesterday Rahul Gandhi spoke and then Sambit Patra spoke. Both were telecast on Republic TV. I saw that. So दोनों बहुत अच्छा था, very good thing. Try to give both. Don't give only Rahul Gandhi and make it one-sided. Don't give only Sambit Patra and make it one-sided. Give both Sambit Patra and Rahul Gandhi's views, and then let the reader, अपने अपने readers है, और राहुल गांधी के पसंद वाले वो लोग आप उसको पसंद करते हैं, संबित पात्रा बीजेपी वाले वो पसंद करते हैं. थोड़े ऐसे लोग भी हो सकते हैं कि दोनों को देखने के बाद वो उसका डिसीजन बदलेगा वो. No, even though I'm Rahul Gandhi's supporter, I feel Sambit Patra has made a point more effectively. It is the reader who decides that. So please remember, this is a very important dimension that you should know is balance. How are you balancing your story? And then when you're writing a story, newspaper story, one of the good qualities that we expect from you is there any clarity in what you're writing? What is essential is clarity should be there. When a reader reading, यार कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आ रहा मुझे, ये क्या क्या की बोल रहा है. I will come to that point. Ethics के बारे में I will come to that. Clarity is also very important as to the reader should not be confused by reading the story. He should not read it 2 times to understand it. He should understand it in one reading itself. And उसमें खूबी किसका है? आपका है. It is your reporter's greatness that the reader, whoever be the reader, he may be an intermediate fellow, he may be a graduate or a postgraduate, but all the 3 people could read your story in one go. That speaks great of, say, a reporter. Sahnaz has reported so well. Her English has been so good. And then you have been able to understand that so easily that the reader. So that is what we expect in clarity. Readers should not get confused. Readers should not read again and again to understand the same matter. That is very essential. Coming to another important area, what Shahnaz has said is ethics. Yes, Ethics is one of the most important things, but लेकिन you must also know that जो मुझे ethical है आपको unethical है, जो आपको unethical है मुझे ethical, ऐसा भी controversy निकलेगा. But yes, ethics is very important, particularly when you are trying to, cover stories on crime, rape, murders, particularly when you are trying to be where you should be gender sensitive, where you should be gender sensitive, be it man or woman, or even now transgender. Transgender is playing a very important role. We have to be terribly gender sensitive. Gender sensitivity itself is a 100-page material that you can get when you are doing your post-graduation course. So gender sensitive and ethics means certain things are there where you should not take anybody by name, anybody whom you should not assassinate by character. उसी को कहते हैं जब आप मीडिया ट्रायल कर देते हैं, मीडिया से आप ट्रायल कर देंगे तो वो अनएथिकल हो जाएगा. कोर्ट को डिसाइड करने दो, जो भी है कोर्ट में हो जाएगा. कोर्ट को जाने से पहले आप किसी को डिसाइड कर दिया है, आप मीडिया के जरिए किसी का असैसिनेट किया, कैरेक्टर असैसिनेशन किया या किसी को बदनाम किया आपने, दैट इज नॉट करेक्ट. Always one thing, every reporter should know that every human being, anyone who is accused is innocent unless and until proved by a court of law. ठीक है, जब तक वो साबित नहीं होता है तो उसको हम दोषी नहीं कह सकते हैं. दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस. All of us, reporters should not take. It may appear, right? This fellow is a bloody murderer. Mohan చూస్తే అట్లా ఉంది, అక్కడ మోహన్ లోనే తెలిసిపోతుంది వాడు గుండా. ఇస్ నో, మోహన్ చూసి డిసైడ్ చేస్తే ఎప్పుడో అయిపోయేది. It's not necessarily. Nothing to be decided on the basis of appearance alone. There's so many factors that are involved. So you'll have to think about that also. Another important thing is, yes, like Shana, ethics and again is included into the integrity of the reporter. The reporter should be very, very honest. Number one, to the newspaper, to his editor, to the people, and last but not the least, to himself. You should be honest to yourself when you are reporting a story. Tomorrow, your conscience should not prick that you have deliberately made something wrong, that you have deliberately misled the reader, that you have deliberately misled your editor. आपने एक देखा है, आपने और कुछ लिखा है, लेकिन आपका एडिटर आपके नीचे, आप उनके नीचे काम कर रहे हैं. He believes you. क्यों बोलते हो, इसके पहले आपने कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं किया, लेकिन इस बार कुछ आपको पर्सनल इफेक्ट हुआ या इम्पैक्ट हुआ तो आप उसको चेंज कर रहे हैं. डोंट डू दैट. Don't do that. You be the same day one, day last when you are working in a particular job. There has to be no change. Ramana has to be the same on first day and the last day that he serves in an organization. There should not be any change in his approach. And when there is no change in his approach, then he is called as a man of integrity, a reporter of integrity, a reporter on whom I can place my 100% trust. So the editor blindly, Ramana का story है, चलो जाओ भाई मैं edit नहीं करूँगा, ठीक है, वो जबरदस्त लिखेगा और जो भी लिखेगा पूरा सच लिखेगा, चलो जाओ story ऐसी भिजा देगा. पढ़ता भी नहीं. Sometimes it happens like that. I did work in newspaper offices when I used to file stories, and then they used to go straight into the print. I used to tell editor साहब जरा देखिए साहब कुछ मेरे से भी गलती हो सकता है. अरे कोई बात नहीं यार, चलो भेज देगा. तो वो रिस्क वो ले रहा है. कब लेगा वो? When you have that integrity, when people have the dependability on you. This is very important. Another good quality for a newspaper reporting. So what is that we discussed is that very qualities of good news reporting is that objectivity, attribution. Another important thing is you should have a sixth sense. Do you know what is sixth sense? Can anyone tell me what is sixth sense? What is sixth sense? Can anyone tell me?
To imagine possibility.
Very good. Yes, very good. You must have that, and that sixth to explore the things. Yes, you must have that kind of, the ability to smell. So that's why एक है, मैं आपको chat में बताऊंगा. Where is chat? Just a minute. Chat is here. So you should be able to have what is known as. This is very important. ये तजुर्बा से हो जाएगा आपको. When you get experienced, you will be able to have this special. ये है ना, ये सबको नहीं है. ये नाक जो है केवल खबर के लिए नाक, nose for news. This is very important. So there are people who will always smell news. There are people who will smell news by seeing someone's body language, the way he talks, his modulation, his way of talking, इधर उधर देखने का. तो जब रिपोर्टर को कुछ डाउट आ जाएगा, यार इधर कुछ अलग दिख रहा है मुझे, इसके पीछे कुछ है क्या बोल के he can see, he can smell no news, and he can get that news wherein his competitors are not able to do that, and he is able to put it in his newspaper, the only newspaper that covered that news. So please remember, that should be what is known as, it comes by experience over a period of time. When you become a reporter, maybe over a period of 2 or 3 years, you will get a very good nose for news. You are in a position to smell news. वरना आजकल स्मेल इज ऑल्सो वेरी मच, आजकल पावर ऑफ स्मेलिंग भी बहुत है, न्यूज में आ गया कोरोना के बाद में, है ना, बहुत आ गया आजकल. But in corona or no corona, a reporter should be able to have nose for news. He should be able to smell. Okay, he should be able to sense, sixth sense. That is what is known as sixth sense. Something which you are able to, do which others are not able to do. So these are all, the qualities: fairness, balance, clarity, integrity. काफी कुछ qualities है which will make you a very good reporter over a period of time. Then another important thing is, how does the news come to newspaper office? How do they source news? One is, I have a reporter, I have Huzaifa, who goes and covers an event. I send him there. He covers an event in high tech city, or Swati goes and covers some, political event. Maybe she goes to that, कौन सा है ना वो, martyr statue. She will go there and she will cover some event there. She may speak to Harish Rao and come back. Ramana may go to some other event. So one is, our reporters will go and bring the news and file a story in the newspaper office. But sometimes what happens, same thing that Swati, Ramana, and Huzaifa covered, quite possible that same news may come from another agency known as news agency. So we have got news agencies like national news agencies. I hope you all know what are those news agencies. I'm just typing. We have national news agencies,
ANI.
UNI, PPTI, IANS. Okay, see, these are all national news agencies. We have, 1 minute. We have AFP, Reuters, AFP, AP, Alliance France Presse. AP is Associated Press. Reuters is another news agency from where you are getting the, the news from international or from different countries also. So news comes from reporters. News comes from news agencies. Sources of news can be, news comes from government. Government wala bhi press release dega. If you go to Masip Tank, there is an office known as Directorate of Information Public Relations, which is responsible for giving news on behalf of the government. Government also releases press releases. It sends a press release by mail, or nowadays by mail, or it sends by a person personally. It is given, delivered there. Or if it is central government, it is Press Information Bureau who will be giving these news stories in addition to your own reporters going and covering. So you have your news agencies which are independent. You have government agencies which are not independent, which will give always something good about what they are doing. It may be one-sided, which is given by the reporters. Then you also get the news from assembly. When you go to assembly and you can cover the news, suddenly you will see somebody who is there, Divakar Reddy, who has no business to be in Telangana assembly. JC Divakar Reddy comes and meets KCR in assembly lobby. That becomes news. Swati could spot the JC Divakar Reddy talking to KCR, so she could send some news. Maybe she may talk to the JC Divakar Reddy. Entandi, why did you come, sir? What is that you met CM today? You are in Andhra and now he is in Telangana CM. How does he help you? Quite possible JC Divakar Reddy may give some inputs to Swati, and Swati will immediately type out those things and send a news also. So sometimes it happens in case of assembly, or assembly, what is happening inside the assembly or outside the assembly, in the lobbies of the assembly, in the lobbies of the parliament. I remember how journalists used to come and meet when I was working in parliament. I was working in parliament for 3 years in Delhi Lok Sabha. I remember how they used to come in the lobby. Some members come and request me also, M sir, as official, what is the news you have got? Anything you can say, because we don't say anything. We just keep quiet or mouth shut because of code of conduct. Okay, so we have all this situation where you can get news from the government, you can get news from assembly, you can go get news from courts. uh, Definitely a lot of news in courts. Every day Ramana is able to, and I'm talking about Chief Justice Ramana, who is able to give some news or the other. Okay, now he was earlier a journalist. You should know that he was a journalist earlier. He is very good respect for media. So he talks to media also, and whatever he says becomes news. Whatever Chief Justice says becomes news. If you see today's newspaper, I have published one letter. I have addressed it directly to Chief Justice of India. In Hans India, it was published. My first letter has come. Among all the letters, mine is the first letter. If you see Hans India, today's Hans India, you can see my first letter where I asked Chief Justice Ramana to, I gave him some suggestion. So if you want, you can go through. So you please remember, news can come in many ways, in different ways from different people. It can be from courts, your high court also, local court also, Dilsuknagar court, or anywhere. Or it can also come from corporate houses, from where now Shailaja is working in a corporate house. I don't know whether she's there today. Are you there, Shailaja? You're not there. I don't know. Okay, if she's there or not, whatever she's working in a corporate house, she can also give a lot of news. Anything coming out of Infosys, anything coming out of Microsoft, anything coming out of Facebook. You know what happened to Facebook? There was outage. Now they said today Facebook was out, WhatsApp was out for some time, and it created a whole world. It created hell of a problem for everyone. खाना नहीं है तो कोई बात नहीं, नींद नहीं है तो कोई बात नहीं, लेकिन WhatsApp नहीं है तो जान चले जाएगा. That is the kind of a situation we are living nowadays. We are so addicted to these things. So corporate houses can also give a lot of news. Every day there is news from various corporate houses. It can be anything also. Then it can also be from press conferences. What is a press conference? See, always remember that many times press conference is conducted for good things and bad things also. You know very well Prakash Raj and Vishnu Mansu are conducting press conference every day. That is completely taking away all the TRP. I'm not talking that press conference alone. Quite possible the Director General of Police of Uttar Pradesh government may convene a press conference and then tell the truth about what happened in Lakhimpur. Okay, actually, think what happened where 4 farmers were killed and 4 other people were killed, totally 8 people killed, and how he can throw all the information about arrest of Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi and what is Yogi saying, what is that Minister Mishra saying, Ashish Mishra, and his son, what has happened to all that. So you can get, the DGP can conduct a press conference, and so you go there as reporter and you can ask him some questions, convenient questions, inconvenient questions, embarrassing questions. You can ask. If you are bold, you should be able to stand up and ask questions very boldly. You should not be afraid of the consequences. अगर वो बोलेगा चुप बैठ, तेरा कुछ नहीं मालूम, तेरा प्रेस के बारे में मालूम है, तू कौन सा पेपर से आ रहा मालूम है, मैं ऐसा बात करे तो तू वैसा डालता, वो भी मालूम है, आपको गाली भी देगा वो. He will be able to even scold you, but take it in your stride. Don't again hit back. नहीं तू ही चोर है, मेरे को ऊपर ऐसा कोई नहीं बोलना. You have to take it back, and then you can mention that also. That also in your news story. So press conference is a good place from where you can get the news. What are we discussing today now is sources of news, from where all you can get the news. We said reporters, we said news agencies, we said government, we said assembly, we said court, we said corporate houses, we are saying press conferences. Sometimes what happens? Sometimes what happens is that you are a lucky reporter. Okay, you're a lucky reporter, Madhu 360, and he's a lucky reporter. He has some contacts. He has some contacts maybe with ministers or with bureaucrats, IAS officers, and that IAS officer is not ready to talk to Sheikh or Huzaifa or to Swati, but he is willing to talk to Madhu because Madhu has some personal contact with that IAS officer. Quite possible he can get some news because of his personal contacts. Quite possible the chemistry between that IAS officer and Madhu is working, and quite possible IAS officer will believe that Madhu will not put him in trouble. Madhu also will not put that IAS officer in trouble in the course of his reporting. So personal contact is also one of the best sources of news, from where you can get the news. Personal contact, so you can also get sometimes clarification. Even if it is Naga Chaitanya or Samantha, quite possible you may be one of the reporters may be knowing Naga Chaitanya because he was a senior or junior in a college, same college. थोड़ा personal touch है, तो maybe he will convince Naga Chaitanya, अरे यार मैं तेरे को सही रूप में दिखाऊंगा, ये जो भी मीडिया बकवास कर रहे हैं आपके बारे में, I will write correctly. Quite possible Naga Chaitanya may reveal some information at that time. So this is what is known as personal contacts. Or sometimes what happens is that you should develop sources. You should develop sources means as a reporter, you can go and be in touch, make some people friends. का ये मतलब नहीं कि हर दिन उसके साथ बार में जाओ और शराब पियो, नहीं. You can try to maintain, you can be in touch with them. Some public relation exercise you can do. You can be in touch with some officers. पता नहीं ये कब useful होगा. So quite possible if you have some people in secretariat, some people in government, some people among politicians, you can always have some contacts so that you can always contact these people. Okay, Kodan Reddy is a very senior most, one of the oldest Congress leaders, who is a very simple person. He has been in the discipline committee. So if you are able to have some contact with him, अभी तो कोई use नहीं है, but suddenly कुछ disciplinary action लेना पड़े तो आपको Kodan Reddy, he will talk to you. So you can also develop sources. मतलब you try to be in touch with them. We don't know when they will be able to be of. So try to have some kind of you develop sources. Try to develop means try to have contacts, and to have contacts nothing but few words of courtesy. Maybe chai pe charcha, और मोदी साहब का बहुत मशहूर डायलॉग है, चाय पे चर्चा. You can have चाय पे चर्चा, or maybe you can call him some club for a dinner, like non-veg अच्छा खाओ, आप वो खिलाएगा या आप खिलाओ, कोई भी नहीं. You trying to develop some sources. Why are you keeping all these sources like your fixed deposit? So that when you need when you need some news at some other time, you can always have this. So that is one of the important ways of news, of getting the news. Another important thing is, suppose Shahnaz is there and she is very observant. She's suppose attending a conference, I mean a seminar is going on, and she's going as a reporter and she's listening everything, but she's also observing everything. Quite possibly in the course of her observation, she finds there is something else happening in addition to this conference, in addition to the seminar. She can try to, peep into that particular issue and make that as a news also. So if you are very good observant, if you have good observation, qualities, curiosity, then you can become a good reporter, and that's another way of source of news. So आपको somewhere you are getting the news which nobody else is getting news, because you are very good, you are a keen observer. That is very, very essential. Another way of getting the news is reference material. So much of reference material is always there. Can you give me an example of reference material? Anyone can give me an example for reference material? What is reference material? Reference material. Suppose you are a reporter. Why do you need to have reference material? So nowadays, what do you do? Suppose you want to get some information. What do you do nowadays? Nowadays, your reference material is, but you can't depend on that compulsorily.
Internet,
Yeah,
Facebook.
very good. Oh, Google माथा को पकड़ते आप. Very good. That's true. So Google नहीं, आपका my reference material मतलब sometimes you can go and get authentic information. Government publications available in government libraries, university libraries, authentic information. You are able to get. Google का क्या है? वो Google वाला खुद ही कह रहा है कि please verify that before you pass it on to somebody else. Wikipedia वाला क्या बोलता है? Subject to verification. बट उसके लिए वेरिफिकेशन के कहाँ टाइम है? उसके अलावा इफ यू आर एबल टू हैव सम आर्काइव्स, libraries, old newspapers, old magazines, old books. So you can try to think about that. You are writing about how how BJP is forcing in changing the syllabus in tune with the Hindutva. So you want to write something on that, then you will have to go through a school textbook of say 2012. Then that textbook and this textbook you will have to see. So you are comparing these two. Now that's a reference material from where you can throw light. एक जमाना में ऐसा था, ये लोग ऐसा कर रहे हैं. Then only you are able to write your story. That's also is a position of getting a reference material. It can be library, British library, online, offline, hard copy, soft copy. You should be able to bank upon that. And as you said very rightly, internet is another source of information. But internet में क्या होता है, या Google में क्या होता है? You are washed away in the flood of information. You are washed away in the flood of information. मैं आपको कह सकता हूँ कि यार ये पूरा पढ़ लो, आप गूगल में पढ़ लो. अब मेरा क्लास का भी जरूरत नहीं है. आप खुद भी गूगल में पढ़ के एग्जाम लिख के पास हो जा सकते हैं. अलग बात है. Passing is not the point at all nowadays. Everybody is passing. What is essential for us is to, try to grasp what is actually happening on the ground. This is very, very important for all of us. And so, obviously, internet is good also, but then don't become a victim of internet. Don't become a slave of internet. For everything, don't depend on internet. Suppose you are spending 60 minutes to get the information from various sources we have discussed so far. One of the sources is internet also. But सपोज 60 मिनट्स में आप 55 मिनट्स इंटरनेट से पूरा इंफॉर्मेशन ले लिया और 5 मिनट आपने बाकी वालों से लिया, so you are doing injustice to your story. You will have to balance because you're now contacting various sources and the reader, वो रीडर एक ही बात कहेगा, मधु 360 has given a story जो मैं इंटरनेट में पढ़ सकता हूँ, उससे क्या बड़ा नया चीज दे रहा है इन्हें, मैं पूरा इंटरनेट में है, ऐसे ही निकाल के कॉपी करके डाल दिया उन्हें मेरे को. रीडर बोलेगा कल, मैं नहीं बोलूंगा आपको, आपका एडिटर नहीं बोलेगा, आपका रीडर बोलेगा. बिकॉज assume always remember your reader is one step ahead in terms of the present day, era generation के बच्चे जो है, आजकल के जनरेशन रीडर जो है, they are smarter than the reporter. What will you do? So you will have to balance out, you will have to see that you are using internet also. Okay, and then another important area where you are in a position to where you are in a position to get the news is to interview people, is to contact the people at the ground level. This is very, very important for all of us because at the ground level, whom are you contacting? So they are better sources of information because they may be an eyewitness. They may be eyewitness to an accident, maybe to a crime, maybe to a scandal, maybe to anything else. They may be eyewitness of a scam. They may be eyewitness of the defects in the construction of a building or anything. The other day, I've seen 7-storied building falling in Simla. So 7-storied manzil गिर गया. So a reporter will now investigate there and he will go and see what is happening. 7-story पहले permission किसने दिया? कौन कौन कितना पैसा खा लिया? 7-story वो हिल एरिया में कैसा परमिशन दिया? आप 2 मंजिल के लिए नहीं देते हैदराबाद में, विच इज वेरी रॉक सॉलिड लैंड है, लेकिन हिल एरिया में आपने कैसे दिया? So please remember, you can interview people and get lot of information. And it all depends on how you interview. That is a different subject altogether. Interview is a separate topic by itself. So what we try to now so far discuss is various sources of news, how you can get news from different areas, different people, different aspects, and all these things we have seen. All these are known as sources of news, and I'm sure you'll be able to write a very good essay answer on sources of news. So we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sources of news in addition to yourself as a reporter. This is what is very important for all of us. If you have any doubts now, you can ask, otherwise I'll move forward. If you have any doubts, then we'll go to the next topic, that is unit 5 of the next unit. Okay, and what is that I'll tell you. Any और कुछ doubt है तो पूछिए.
సార్ AFP ది మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి చెప్పండి సార్.
Very good. I have put it in the chat. Okay.
ఓకే సార్.
It's a French abbreviation. Okay. AP. AP is Associated Press. Okay. So UNI, you know what is UNI? I'm typing that also. Okay. PTI. Press Trust of India. Then you have India Abroad News Service. Okay, we have all these things and news agencies from where news can come. But you have to pay for that. You should know that if you are a newspaper organization, you will be paying them monthly subscription. You have to pay. So the news comes to you through earlier days teleprinters, but nowadays we don't have teleprinters. We get through internet onto your system. So you will have to subscribe to them. फुकट में नहीं आता, ये पूरा पैसे पे करना पड़ता. फिर वो लोगों को भी जीना है ना. So they too have to survive. They will charge you for that. Okay, right. Any other doubt? Good. Swati, I answered your question. Thank you. Okay, right. Any other doubt, please? So I'll move forward now to the next topic, Unit 5. It is all about. Okay, now It's about how do you write news? That is very, very important. What is that great thing that you should do? How do you write news? Can you tell me when will you become a good news writer? Can you tell me when you will
Reader.
become very good? You have to be a good news reader.
Reader.
इसीलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ, yeah, very good, very good. Swati is very good. What is essential is that every day you have to read a newspaper. Every day you have to listen to news for about 20 minutes, either BBC or जो भी channel आपको पसंद आया, you have to listen to that news. Then only you will be able to write. Now, if you read a news story, first of all, when you read a news story, first paragraph itself will answer about nearly 5 questions. First paragraph itself will answer most of the questions. Always, what is that the reader expects? Is always in reader के mind में एक ये questions रहते हैं. Okay? Who, what, when, where, who, what, when, where, why. और उसके बाद एक H भी रहता. So when you read a news story, आप next time क्लास के बाद में आप एक स्टोरी लीजिए और आप खुद ही साबित कर रहे हो कि मैं बकवास बात कर रहा हूँ या मैं सच्ची बात कर रहा हूँ. Am I talking sense or is it not there what I am trying to say? So if you read this, any first 2 paragraphs, maximum headline and the 2 paragraphs, if you read, you will get the answers for all these questions. So who said that? Okay, Priyanka Gandhi said that. What did she say? Okay, that's when did she say? Where did she say? Why did she say that? Why did she say that? Then sometimes how may or may not be there. इसमें how क्या होता है? How नहीं हो सकता है. So maybe you are talking about some issue. Sometimes how also comes. Now in any news story, please remember the reader should get the answers for all these questions. Once your news story is able to furnish answers for these questions, the so-called 5 Ws and 1 H, then you are already become a good news writer. Okay, your first paragraph itself. लेकिन ये क्या सब ऐसा है? हाँ, इसीलिए इसको हम क्या कहते हैं कि इसको हम कहते हैं कि क्या कहते हैं? इन्वर्टेड पिरामिड स्टाइल. You know what is inverted pyramid? इजिप्ट में जो पिरामिड देखा है, it will be like a triangle. बट उल्टा करो ट्रायंगल को, it is inverted pyramid. नीचे कम हो जाएगा, ऊपर पूरा. मतलब as you read first paragraph, second paragraph, third, fourth, fifth, sixth paragraph का news story है. Sixth paragraph is the least important story. Most important are the first 2 or 3 paragraphs maximum, including the headline and the sub-headline or anything else. And then if you're in a position to write a story in that fashion, then you are a good news writer. Though the modern journalism teaches something else, that you don't worry. We'll try to tell you when you join postgraduate classes or do PhD. At that time, we can try to discuss all that. 5 Ws and 1 H is the theoretical aspect of any news writing, and not only theoretical aspect, but just take any story. Okay, any story. Today, for instance, Gandhi's meet grieving families. So Gandhi जाके वो लोगों को अरेस्ट करे, फिर रिलीज करे जाके. So who met? Gandhi's met. Whom they met? Grieving families. कहाँ मिले? Village. Headline में आ गया आपको answers. So what is happening? All this the story will tell here. Political activity, then first paragraph, 2 paragraph, then some your name is also there. Suppose you are a reporter, sometimes your name also will come here, Madhu 360 or Sheikh Shahnas. Reporter's name is also given. That is how reporters become famous. That is how I was telling you, KCR talk, Rahul. Why is he saying? Because he's able to read the story and try to remember किसने लिखा था. Quite possible that made an impact on him. So in news writing, this is very important for us, is 5 Ws and 1 H. Headline plays a very important role. Without headline, you will not go to the story. Headline is like gateway of India. What is the use? अगर आपका घर को आने इसके टाइम पे आपके पाठक कैसा है? How is your gate? How is the arch? Are you welcoming? Is the very interesting? Is it curious? Am I able to get into the house? Am I curious or not? Nothing. So headline is one which attracts the reader, which draws the attention of the reader. The headline can be the most creative part of the news story. It can be the most sensational part of the news story. It can be the most curious part of the news story. It can be the most inquisitive part of the news story. It is a headline which can create sensation. It can create a lot of irritation, anger, love, hatred. It can create anything. So that is the power of headline. And what you write, those few words of one line or two line headlines can make all the difference. So this is what is headline. Now, tribunal to deal with AP, TS Krishna water disputes. So we have headlines everywhere you see here. So Chinese reality bubble burst. उनका रियल एस्टेट गया, अब चाइना में पूरा पावर कट हैदराबाद में आने वाला बोल रहे अपने पास कोयला नहीं है अभी. T is likely to see 12% spike in cancer cases by 2025. This is a study. So how are you writing the headline? LPG price up. Okay, near 1,000 in some cities. Rupees 1,000 हो गया सारे some cities में. So 4 figure touch हो गया अभी. So suddenly 4 figures. 1,000 means 4 figures. Rupees 1,000 can irritate annoy the user. एक गरीब आदमी को ये बहुत बड़ा असर पड़ेगा उसके ऊपर. 1,000 रुपए, where will he get 1,000 rupees? So this is what we mean by headline. Lead and types of lead. Straight lead, sometimes you can straight away answer. Sometimes you can descriptive. Sometimes you can quote. Sometimes you can quote what he said. So that is very essential. Sometimes Ramana comments and that becomes the main headline. Okay. So please remember that we have always question type of headline also. Question type of headline. Amarinder Singh to join BJP? Question mark. Okay, Amarinder Singh join हो रहा बीजेपी चले गया एक तो पहले काफी लोग चले गए कांग्रेस से. So that is one kind of a headline that you can give or a lead you can give. This is what we mean by a news, news writing. Contrast lead, you can give what is the difference there, or sometimes we can give anything that is anecdotal also. So what is that you write in a news story? One is the headline. Maybe sometimes you give more description. सब हेडलाइन यू कैन गिव हेडलाइन के नीचे एक छोटा रहता है. देखो आपको दिखाऊंगा मैं. हेडलाइन के नीचे भी एक आएगा आपको. कहाँ दिखाऊं मैं? ठहरो एक मिनट. Right, let me see if I can get it from here. Yeah, I think it is here if I'm correct. Let me see here. Yeah, okay. Right. You see here, for instance, today's newspaper. I'm trying to show you here. SC decides to hear. Are you able to see? Are you able to see?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good. Thank you. मेरा कैमरा है इधर ही है. हम ये देखो खाली ये हेडलाइन है. क्या है इसमें? SC decide to hear case on UP violence today. तो कौन डिसाइड करने वाला? SC. क्या करने वाला? यूपी वायलेंस के बारे में. कब करने वाला? आज करने वाला. हेडिंग में आपको 3 आंसर्स मिल गए आपको. उसके बाद में ये जो है इट टेक्स वो मोटो कॉग्निसेंस ऑफ लखीमपुर केरी इंसिडेंट्स. सो यू सी हियर इट टेक्स वो मोटो मतलब अपने आप कोर्ट में ले लिया वो केस. कोई जाके कंप्लेंट भी नहीं किया कोर्ट में, केस नहीं डाला. न्यूज़पेपर के जरिए हुजैफा अली ने रिपोर्ट किया, उसको सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने डायरेक्ट पिटिशन के जैसा ले लिया. It has come in newspaper. Huzaif Ali reported something in Hindu. So Supreme Court can take that as a news story and straight away call these fellows who are all responsible and give some kind of an interim orders or something which we can expect by afternoon, maybe in another 2-3 hours, we can expect some development of this particular story. So this is what we mean by it takes so motor. So this is again तो जो supporting the headline. Headline को अगर आप समझ में नहीं आया थोड़ा और कुछ भी, अच्छा ये क्यों सुप्रीम कोर्ट ले रहा है, कौन शिकायत किया, प्रियंका गांधी गई क्या, कौन गया सुप्रीम कोर्ट को, कौन गया जरूरत नहीं है. आपको हेडलाइन को और अच्छा समझने के लिए एक छोटा हेडलाइन नीचे दे दिया है. So this is called a lead like thing. Then you have a pura. In this again you have got so next 24 hours you will be getting the whole information you can get. And as you see, he has given related reports. Last paragraph may or may not be important. But reader always reads sometimes. If he is interested, he goes up to the last paragraph. So please remember, any body of news story is called as chronological. Normally chronological जाएंगे या reverse chronological. मतलब immediately जो क्या हुआ है, that is given here. That is given here. Suppose I am giving here, then something has happened at night 11 o'clock. That becomes first paragraph. So latest is coming the first. The other things will go later. So like that we have to give reverse chronological bolte usko. So we have to give that in such a way where you're in a position to do it, write the story very neatly, very in the expected manner that we have. Okay, we have got only 1 more minute. Have you got any doubts? You can ask now. 11:29. We'll go over the next other things in the next class. You have any doubts? You can feel free to ask.
So I have one basic question, sir. What's the
Yeah, very
difference
good.
between
Please.
what's the difference between reporter and a journalist, sir?
Very good, very good. Journalist is a holistic person. वो रिपोर्टिंग भी कर पाएगा, एडिटिंग भी कर पाएगा. Journalist is normally a person who gives, who writes not only news, he not only edits, he writes, he edits. सारा मिला के एक बंदे पे आएगा तो उसको जर्नलिस्ट कह सकते हैं हम. He writes an article, he writes a feature, he writes a story, he edits, he writes editor. Journalist in general is the person who is related to the profession directly. Reporter is the person who is reporting news for which he is assigned to do the task. He is sent to parliament to cover some story. He will report and give it dutifully. He will give it. जर्नलिस्ट ऐसा नहीं है, कुछ भी कर पाएगा. आप फ्रीलांस जर्नलिस्ट भी बन सकते हैं. आप किसी के अंदर नौकरी करने की जरूरत नहीं है. आप होना बोलते आपके नीचे 2 जनों को बंदे को रख लो असिस्टेंट के जैसा, और आप खुद भी जर्नलिस्ट बन सकते हैं. That's one of the greatest things about journalism. Nowadays people are insisting on graduation and post graduation, but there was a time when actually history of journalism says that anybody on the road could become a journalist. It was not so in case of being a scientist or a mathematician or a professor or anybody else. Nobody could become a teacher unless they were qualified to become a teacher. But anybody could become a journalist. That is the great thing about journalism, if you take historically speaking. So in a way, just Chief Justice of India, N.V. Ramana, is also a journalist. Journalist means he can, कल Chief Justice retire हो जाएगा वो August 22 में, so he can get back to journalism profession. But it's not so, like Abdul Kalam got back to teaching. He went to Anna University after he left, he retired from presidency. He went to Anna University, he stayed in the guest house there, and he used to take classes daily, 1 or 2 classes in Anna University on space, missiles, and other things. So please remember that journalist is a holistic term. Okay, have I answered your question, Uzaifa?
Yes, sir. Quite, sir.
Right, in totality, he is a journalist. Okay. Right, then we have crossed already 1 minute. I don't want to take others' time. So thank you very much for your patience, and we'll meet tomorrow at 10:30 sharp. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.